So, good morning. Andito ko upang i-explain kung ano yung naintindihan ko sa chapter 1. So, let's start. So, why do we study history? Of course, to ensure that great deeds are not forgotten, in order to understand and prepare for our future, and in order to provide a moral lesson. So, ang past yun ang ibig sabihin ng history. It is all about the past. And marami din tayong matututunan uh, sa mga nakaraan. So, doon na po tayo. So, what is history? So, babasahin ko po yung meaning niya. History is an umbrella term that relates to past events as well as the memory, discovery, collection, organization, presentation, and interpretation of information about these events. Thus, the best and most concise definition of history is the bodies of knowledge about the past produced by historians, together with everything that is involved in the production, communication of, and teaching about that knowledge. So in short, history is the study of the past. So, marami din kasi tayong matututunan about sa mga nakaraan. And ang dami rin itong ibibigay na lesson sa atin. So, history was derived from the Greek word historia, which means through knowledge acquired through inquiry or investigation. So, history existed 2,400 years. So, sobrang tagal na pala. And other academic disciplines and history, ang history ay nag-progress and na-open up sa posibilidad na may valid historical sources. Nang ibig sabihin nito ay wala na nga siyang limit sa paggawa or sa pagsulat ng mga documents, katulad na lang sa mga government records, of course, sa mga personal letter, accounts ng isang tao. And yung iba, ini-invalidates din naman nila yung history of the other civilizations na wag itago nga yung mga written documents. Kasi yung iba, hindi na nila nakuha dahil nga nagkaroon dati ng mga gulo, away, and syempre, yung mga documents na yon nasira o di kaya nasunog. So yun, kaya mahirap din pala. And next, may mga may mga importanteng bagay din dapat na kailangan itago. At lalo nga yung mga birth certificate, ganun. Yun yung mga importanteng bagay. So, next is, may isang nakapag-recognize using other kinds of historical sources. So, siya si Loophole. Loophole was recognized by historian who started using other kinds of historical sources which may not be in written form but were just as valid. Example naman nito na ginamit ni Loophole is yung oral traditions in forms of epics, songs, artifacts, architectures, and of course, the memory. So, magaling din tong si Loophole. Syempre, kailangan niya din palawakin yung pag-iisip niya upang makatulong din sa paggawa ng mga documents and paano maalala yung mga dating mga nangyari, ganun. And may mga tao din na tumulong sa kanya. Ito yung mga scientists. Those scientists is like biologists, chemists, ganun, biochemists. So, mga mga tinulong nila para mapag-aralan yung past. Ang ginawa nila is yung pinag-aralan nila kung paano yung i-analyze through genetic and DNA patterns of human society. So, magaling din sila. So, napag-aaralan din ang history through science. So, yun. And, next po tayo, This is all about the primary and secondary sources. Um, yung primary sources are those sources produced at the same time as the event, period, or subject being studied. So, pasensya kung may dumaang eroplano kasi maingay. And ang example naman ng primary sources is yung interview, diary, birth certificate, ganun. While the secondary sources naman are those sources which were produced by an author who used primary sources to produce the material. For example nito is yung journal and biography. So in short, primary sources without interpretation, while the secondary is with interpretation of primary sources. So, yun yung pinagkaiba nila. And, bago ko ulit sabihin din, primary and secondary are the most important kasi nga nagiging useful in writing and learning of history. So, yun guys. And, ulit, however, historians and students of history need to thoroughly scrutinize these historical sources to avoid deception and to come up with the historical truth. And the historian is, nag-conduct sila ng two criticisms which are the external and internal. External criticisms is the practice of verifying the authenticity of evidence by examining its physical characteristics, consistency with the historical characteristics of the time when it was produced, and the material used for the evidence. So, example na lang nito is yung paper, types of ink, and the language and word used in the material among others. Kasi nakalagay din dito na yung ginamit nila for the evidence. So, yun nga, example is the paper. And while the internal criticism is the examination of the truthfulness of the evidence. So, example din naman ito yung author of the source, its context, and yung agenda behind its creation. Kasi, yun nga yung truthfulness of the evidence. And, kailangan din nilang patibayin yung mga yun kasi minsan nagkakaroon din ng mga false conclusions. So, history talaga is very important. So, in conclusion with this, choosing history allows you to acquire a combination of skills and insights that will broaden your understanding of the world, develop you as a person, and prepare you for a future career. So, history talaga sobrang importante. Kasi, isipin nyo po, may mga bagay tayo na mga nagagawang pagkakamali. And, about doon, nagiging motivation natin upang maiwasan yung mga pagkakamali natin ng nakaraan. And without past, wala din sanang present and future. So, history, sobrang importante. Hindi lang siya basta-basta. History help us understand our world. You cannot understand people if you do not understand their past. Yes, sobrang din yan. Perfect. And you cannot understand our community if you do not know how it came to be. So, talaga naman kasi, paano mo malalaman kung di mo aalamin? And you cannot understand our nation without history. Lahat naman kasi talaga is may history. Sino ba naman ang wala? And you cannot understand our world if you do not understand history. So, history kasi talaga is very important, guys. Yun nga is, sana, hanggang doon na lang. And sana, mas naintindihan nyo in your own. And ako kasi pang ilang take ko na din to. So, yun lang. And God bless.